Up already. Haven't lifted it yet. We have the lift arms under. I think we're all set to lift. I was a little leery. I don't know how this thing's gonna lift. I don't know if it's been up on a lift since all this rear suspension has been installed. It does have limiting chains here, so it shouldn't really fall out, I guess. But we're going to lift it nice and slow and just see what happens. Ooh, some creaking and cracking going on. Let's make sure our arms are good. Should be good there. Good there. Woo. Take a quick peek here. We got our airbags in there. The chains are now tight. So yeah, I think we're all right there. Let's look at the front real quick. Yeah, it's all right too. Lift this rest of the way up, then we'll do a walkthrough. All right, guys, where do we want to start here? I guess we'll, let's start right from the front and work our way right back. So these tires are, it says 12.5 L15, and they're like a skid loader tire or some type of industrial tire. They are pretty wore down, but they're on there. So it's a 15-inch rim, so tires shouldn't be terrible to find. They really do have a dish to them, so there's a lot sticking out. Looks cool. It does have a rough country, I think a 4-inch lift on it, so it's painted this bright green, which I kind of like. Not at all crazy about this type of suspension. This was, I think, a really poor design by Ford. They ran for many years, but again, it's there, so we're gonna live with it for now. That's interesting. I guess they needed a longer tie rod end, so just cut it and put a piece of angle iron in there and welded it up. It seems to be strong enough, at least for what we're doing. This part of it definitely rubs. Definitely wouldn't drive this thing on the street in its current condition. There's no cotter pins in anything. And geometries up here are not at all ideal. So motor's relatively dry. You know, it is what it is at this point, but no major leaks. We did put our new starter on there, as you can see. I've started this thing up a number of times, and it is pretty loud. So I think at some point we're probably gonna have to pull the transmission out and put a flywheel in, or we're just gonna keep burning up starters. But yeah, it is what it is again. We knew this thing wasn't a gem. So moving back, it does still have catalytic converters on it. It does have a glass pack on it too, and kind of a a pipe fitting with threads for a turn down. So that's interesting. It would definitely be much louder if we took the cats off. Now I don't know if these are hollowed or not, but you can smell a little bit of cat smell as this thing's running. So I really think these are functioning, and it's not, like I said, extremely loud. So the cats definitely quieted it down. So if we were to cut these out, we could definitely make this thing a little louder and probably have a little bit more power. But it does have a 5-speed trans. Transfer case is a little wet, but it's not, again, it's not horrible. That's what we have to work with, so that's what we're gonna go with. Now, when we come back here, it does have an 8.8 rear in it. Kind of a homemade fabricated 4-bar setup, and definitely the geometry is not the best back here. As you can see, these arms are straight and these are at a pretty hard angle already. So as this thing articulates, I'm not real sure what's going on with it, but and some of the welds aren't great. So we might have to address some of this if we have any cracks or breaks. We'll keep an eye on it for a little bit. Like these plates here are just kind of barely welded on. It is airbagged. It doesn't have an onboard compressor. It has a Schrader valve at the top of each bag, and you just fill it up and adjust your height there. Other than that, it does have drum brake on the back. It does have some Super Smopper TSL boggers, and these are 33, where's the size? 33 14 15s. So again, 15-inch rim. They're pretty well used. Someone did groove them, but yeah, they're definitely pretty well used. Again, we have our limiting straps here, are actually chains. So as the suspension, there's nothing really to hold this suspension from kind of dropping the whole way out. So these limit how far the rear can drop. Supposedly this thing has 456 gears in it. I don't know. I mean, low range is very low. High range is pretty doggy. These 2.9s did not have a whole lot of power. So I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. We might have to check that out. It's either got a posi unit or maybe someone excuse me, welded the spider gears together, but it definitely turns both wheels the same direction. What else we have? We do have new shocks. When they put the lift coat on, they put new shocks in. Supposedly this lift kit is pretty fresh, and not that it really matters, but it's not supposed to have a whole lot of run time on it. No e-brake, that's been cut, so you definitely got to watch where you park it and let this thing run, because it is stick shift and it will roll away. It's about all we can see from down here. Is a skid plate on the factory gas tank. We got some custom brake lines going on here, so that needs to be addressed. This is just kind of hanging in there. Stainless steel flex line and a steel line coming off of the proportioning valve back there, and again it's just kind of flopping. So we'll definitely have to address a couple things on it, but it's a beater for sure. We can okay, I thought that might have been the carpet there, but it's actually a steel plate on top. So oh, that's the carpet there. So if we take this in a lot of water, it should drain right out at the very least. Again, this front suspension lift is a rough country 4-inch, I believe the guy said it was, and it was done, you know, pretty correctly. It was a bulk kit. It's got the drop brackets for the radius arms, the springs, and the drop brackets for the pivoting points on the front differential. Like I said, this is an independent front suspension, so this side, the driver's side, pivots on the passenger side, and the passenger side actually comes over and pivots on the driver's side. So kind of an interesting situation going on there that Ford did. And there's a U-joint and a slip joint here. And a lot of times this slip joint, there's splines in there and they will strip out eventually. So this 2.9 again doesn't have a ton of power, so this might actually last us quite a while. So we'll just have to see how it holds up. Another thing I just noticed, it does have mile marker locking hubs on it, so that's kind of cool. No front sway bar, they removed that. Just kind of seeing more as I walk around this thing. Definitely has a heavy duty front bumper, probably homemade, but someone did a decent job on it. These clevis hooks are again probably homemade, but pretty stout. The only thing I see it's going to need addressed is they just bolted it to the front of the frame rail, so as you can see that bumper starting to lean back. So maybe we can get this pushed back, and then we'll put a plate on top there and tie into the top of the frame to keep that from happening as we winch stuff. And you know, I'm sure we're gonna have to winch this thing out of some mud holes eventually. All right, guys, that's pretty much the underside of this thing. We kind of went over the top side before, but we'll drop this down in a minute. But real quick, let's talk dollars and cents on this thing. It is actually, when I bought it, the guy said it was an 85, which didn't really make sense because it has the 2.9 and not the 2.8 in it. When we actually got the title for it today and did all of that work, and it's actually a 1988 Bronco too, which makes a little bit more sense. Not really a big deal, but anyway, dollars and cents. So this thing's got a lot going on for it. Like I said, already running and driving. Has the light bar, has the winch, the lift kit, airbags in the back, 4-link. Does have a roll cage inside. It's kind of homemade, but you know, it is what it is. So anyway, we gave $500 for this thing cash. I think is a pretty good deal. I mean, if you had to replace that winch and the light bar, you'd probably be real close to that. So $500 we spent on the truck itself. It needed a starter, so we spent $60 on a brand new starter. And so far, that's really all we have into this. We did have to do a little bit of notary work on the title, but you know, that's on every vehicle. So we're still under $600 on this thing. So I think it's a pretty good value so far. So hopefully we can get a lot of content, a lot of fun out of this thing before it breaks majorly. I'm sure we're gonna have to do some repairs here and there, but so far, $600. Let's just call it $600, and I think we have a lot of fun to be had here for $600. Is it a gem? Absolutely not. No question about it. It's a definite beater, but that's what I love about it. You don't have to care about this at all. You know, if you get close in the trail to a tree, you don't even let up. You just sideswipe the tree and keep right on going with this thing. As you can see from this side, they already did that anyway with the front. And the back here, it was crinkled up a little bit, and you know, there's a rust hole in the door. So yeah, this thing is gonna be a trail monster.